What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, bringing you what I love doing, and that is making top 10 videos. Today, we will be focusing on what I believe to be the top 10 hottest Pokemon card sales of this past week. I have assembled for your viewing pleasure an array of cards that have had some tremendous gains in the past several weeks to even months. Some of these cards have had over 500% increases in value compared to what they were selling for. So stay tuned to the very end, folks. You're going to love today's video. Before we get started on this top 10 list, I wanted to bring to your attention some cards, some Grails that are being auctioned off this Thursday on the Fanatics Collect Premier auction block. These are some of the most desirable cards to have in this hobby, including a PSA 10 no rarity symbol Japanese base set Blastoise, a PSA 9 no rarity symbol Japanese base set Charizard, a PSA 10 shadowless base set Charizard, a CGC 10 trophy Kangaskhan card, a PSA 10 no stage error base set Blastoise, and a PSA 10 Japanese 30,000 point play promo Gold Star Flareon. You want to talk about Grails, folks? These are some of the lowest pop vintage cards that you can own. And like I said, it's happening this Thursday on fanaticscollect.com. And I'll have a link to each of these cards in the description of this video, so please go check it out. All right, folks, I got 10 cards for you. Let's go through each of them here, starting off with the number 10 card on today's list. It would have to be the Special Delivery Pikachu. And I know what you're saying. Didn't you have this card on a list a few weeks ago as having a substantial increase in value? You are right, but it bears repeating because this week it sold for a new staggering amount. It was selling a few months ago for about $594, but recently we saw an auction sale of this card for $815, and that is another 37% increase on this Special Delivery Pikachu. Now, all of the Special Delivery cards have been skyrocketing in the past couple of months, but this one here I think has done the best. This is the number 10 card on today's list. The next card would have to be this Alt Art Plume GX from Cosmic Eclipse. Boy, this card was selling as a PSA 10 a few weeks ago for about $177. Again, for $167 was where it was selling for. Nowadays, folks, this card has sold in auction for $306, and that is a nice 83% increase on this card. Now, a lot of the cards from Cosmic Eclipse have been really booming as of late. This one here is no exception. The next card on today's list is the Mega Charizard EX Full Art from XY Evolutions. Now, I told y'all a few weeks ago that I thought Evolutions was going to be making some big moves very soon. Here's one of them. This card was selling a few months ago for about $197, $193, all the way down to about $192. So very consistently around this price point. But in the past week, we have seen this card explode in value. Here is an auction sale of $385 all the way up to $431, which is a 124% increase on this card that has, quite frankly, a ton of copies as PSA 10s, but that doesn't matter, folks, because it's very desirable. It's a Charizard. It's from Evolutions. Yeah. The next card on today's list is an amazing illustration. It's this 2002 McDonald's Squirtle promo card. Absolutely beautiful design. This card was selling as a PSA 10 a couple of months ago for about $730. Here's another sale for $720. But just in the past week, this card has more than doubled, selling as a PSA 10 in auction for $1,325, all the way up to $1,700 for this amazing Squirtle card. That is a 136% increase. This is a beautiful, unique illustration, and I love it. This is the number 7 card on today's list. Next up, folks, we have this little number right here. It is the Gold Medal Pikachu from the Celebrations UPC. This card was selling as a PSA 10 earlier this year for about $825. But most recently, this card has sold as a best offer accepted sale of about $2,001, which is a 143% increase. And I'll tell you what, folks, I believe there is room to grow with this card because there are only 310 PSA 10 copies out of 7,918 total graded cards by PSA, which gives it a 3.92% gem rate. So for an item that's been out for more than 3.5 years, only having 310 PSA 10 copies, I do believe there is room to grow for this card. What do you think about it? Next up, we have this full art Latios Blackstar promo from the XY era. Now folks, almost a year ago, this card was selling in auction for $1,525, and at that time it had 3 PSA 10 examples. Fast forward a year, it still has 3 PSA 10 examples, but now is selling for $4,155, which is a 172% increase on this bad boy. And it's crazy that in 1 year we have seen no PSA 10s added to the pop report. There have been a total of 247 graded by PSA, only 3 getting the Gem Mint 10. Yeah, that's insane. The next card on the list would have to be the Team Magma's Groudon EX from Double Crisis. This card has been making a huge splash, but more specifically, I want to talk about the PSA 9 copy of this card that was selling earlier this year for $570, but had a most recent sale in auction of $1,584, which is a 178% increase. Something about this card has been really making it boom in today's market. Getting down to the final 3 cards, we have this little number right here. It is the Pikachu EX Blackstar promo from the XY era. This guy was selling last year about this time for $1,891, which was a very impressive price, if you ask me. But this card has had a very recent sale of $6,869 in auction, which is a staggering 263% increase. And quite frankly, what's not to love about this card? You have the badass Pikachu front and center, a Jolteon here, an Electabuzz there. This card is amazing, and this is the number 3 hottest of the week. Up next, we have this full art Mew EX from Black and White Legendary Treasures Radiant Collection. Boy, this card was selling as a PSA 10 back in the fall for $1,080, but fast forward to today's market, it recently sold for $4,300, which is a 298% increase. This is the number 2 card on my list today. Which brings me to the number 1 hottest card of the week. It's going to have to go to this Charizard and Rescue GX Blackstar promo from the Sun and Moon era. This card was selling as a PSA 10 in the fall for about $330. But check out the sale this week, folks, where it sold for $2,125. And that is a mind-blowing 544% increase in about, 7 to 8 months. So I guess the moral of today's story is that Black and White cards, promo cards from the XY era, and even the Sun and Moon era are just doing phenomenally well as of recently. This is the number 1 hottest card of the week, by far. Thank you so much for watching, folks. I really enjoyed making today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And that's all I got. I'll catch you all in my next one.